A worker loses the laptop job. Not in a dramatic movie scene. In a normal room with normal bills on a normal Tuesday. Then across town, another worker gets paid to wire the building that powers the AI. Same economy, same technology wave. Two completely different human stories. That is the part most AI headlines flatten into nonsense. The jobs did not just disappear, some of them moved. And if you only watch the disappearing part, you miss where the next kind of leverage is being built. The layoff story is real. People are already watching teams shrink, job descriptions change, and managers ask whether software can do the work that used to need 3 humans and a meeting. It is not paranoia to feel the ground move, but the simple version. The version that says AI just deletes work and leaves nothing behind is too lazy to be useful. Goldman Sachs estimated that hundreds of millions of jobs are exposed to automation, but exposed does not mean erased. Exposure means tasks inside a job can be changed, compressed, assisted, measured, or automated. That difference matters. A whole job is a bundle of tasks, responsibility, trust, timing, context, judgment, and accountability. AI attacks some of that bundle faster than the rest. So the first psychological trap is panic math. People hear a giant number and imagine a giant trapdoor. But the useful question is not just how many jobs are exposed. The useful question is which parts of work lose value, and which parts suddenly become more valuable, because the machine made the easy part cheap. Now look under the screen. AI feels weightless when you use it in a chat box, but it is not weightless. It lives in data centers. It pulls electricity, it needs cooling, it needs fiber, racks, land, backup power, transformers, permits, concrete, maintenance, and people who can keep physical systems alive when the software world pretends everything is just an app. That is why the AI boom keeps creating a very old-looking kind of work. Electricians, fiber techs, cooling specialists, mechanical systems, welders, construction crews, security, logistics. The digital economy is growing a factory floor, and that factory floor is not inside your laptop. It is out in the world, humming, hot, expensive, and very physical. That does not mean every displaced analyst becomes an electrician. That would be another cartoon version of the story. It means the economy is shifting demand from repeatable screen tasks toward the messy interfaces between machines and reality. Power, buildings, robots, customers, safety, trust, repair. Think about the worker who used to be paid to move information from one system into another. That task is fragile now. But someone still has to know whether the data is true, whether the customer is angry for a good reason, whether the policy makes sense, and whether the automated answer will create a bigger problem tomorrow. The work does not vanish in a clean line. It moves up, down, and sideways. Some of it moves down into physical infrastructure. The rack has to be installed, the cable has to be pulled, the cooling has to work, the power has to be redundant, the building has to pass inspection, the budget has to survive reality. These are not glamorous AI jobs, but they are part of the AI economy. They are the hidden skeleton under the software story. Some of it moves up into judgment. When the machine can make a first draft, the valuable person becomes the one who knows what should never be in the final draft. And some of it moves sideways into translation. One person understands the tool. Another understands the customer. Another understands the building, the workflow, the risk, the legal constraint, or the weird exception that only happens every third Friday. The future belongs to people who can stand between those worlds and make the machine useful without letting it become stupid at scale. And then come the robots. This is where the story gets stranger. Humanoid robots, warehouse robots, home robots, factory systems, inspection systems. They all look most impressive in demos where the room is prepared, the lighting is friendly, the task is known, and the camera catches the good take. But real life is not a demo. Real life is a wet floor, a missing part, a confused customer, a child walking into the room, a sensor glitch, a policy question, or a machine confidently doing the wrong thing. The robot works until the world gets weird, then someone has to decide what matters. That person may not look like the old expert. They may be less like a single-task worker and more like a supervisor of systems. They need to know when to trust the machine, when to stop it, when to repair it, when to escalate, and when the technically correct action is socially or morally wrong. That is not just labor. That is judgment under pressure. This is the part most people underestimate. When machines get good at producing answers, the scarce thing is not always the answer. Sometimes it is taste, sometimes it is context, sometimes it is responsibility. Sometimes it is the human ability to notice that the chart is technically accurate but psychologically misleading, or that the robot completed the task but broke trust while doing it. A lot of people will try to respond to this by chasing whatever tool is newest this week. That is understandable, but it is not enough. Tools change too fast. What compounds is the ability to ask better questions, judge better outputs, understand real constraints, and keep your nerve when the machine gives you something that looks polished but feels wrong. This is why taste starts to matter in a way that sounds soft until you see the cost of bad taste. Bad taste publishes the wrong thing. Bad taste trusts the wrong chart. Bad taste lets a robot do a technically impressive action that makes humans trust the system less. Bad taste is not a design problem. In an automated world, bad taste becomes an operational risk. So the valuable human starts moving, away from typing the obvious thing, toward framing the problem, away from repeating the checklist, toward noticing the exception, away from being the cheapest hands in the process, toward being the person who understands what the process is actually for. That also means the safest career advice is not one job title. It is a direction of travel. Move closer to reality. Move closer to accountability. Move closer to physical systems, customer trust, complex judgment, messy coordination, or human outcomes. If your work is only the clean middle of a process, AI is coming for the middle first. The edge gets more valuable. The person who understands the edge gets more valuable too. That is a hopeful story, but it is not a comfortable one. Because work is not only income, work is status. It is structure, it is a calendar. It is how a lot of people explain themselves at dinner. It is how they know they are useful. If AI changes work, it also changes the emotional map people use to locate themselves in the world. That is why the future of work conversation feels so charged. People are not only asking whether they can pay rent, they are asking whether the world still has a place where their effort turns into respect. They are asking whether becoming more efficient also made them less needed. They are asking whether the ladder they climbed was attached to a wall that is being moved. And that is where the purely technical conversation fails. A spreadsheet can count jobs. A chart can show exposure. A model can forecast demand. But none of that answers the human question underneath. If the old map breaks, what do I do with my ambition, my status, my usefulness, and my time? And that may be the biggest future shift. Not just which job disappears, which identity stops working, which skills become signals of trust, which people become more valuable because they can stand between powerful machines and messy human reality. So if you are trying to think clearly about AI and work, do not ask only, can this tool do my task? Ask a sharper question. If the easy version of my work gets automated, where does the hard version move? Does it move into infrastructure? Does it move into supervision? Does it move into repair? Does it move into taste, trust, context, care, or accountability? Because the future is not just humans versus machines. It is humans deciding which machine-shaped world is worth living in. The best response is not denial, and it is not panic. It is to build a better map. Watch the task level. Watch the infrastructure. Watch the exception path. Watch who gets trusted when the automated system fails. Watch who becomes responsible for the part the machine cannot understand. That is where the next valuable human is hiding. That is what this channel is tracking, the tech story and the human story at the same time. If AI moves work instead of simply deleting it, where do you think humans become more valuable next? Drop the answer in the comments. And next, we are going deeper into the robot in your house, and why even that robot may still have a boss. So subscribe if you want the useful version of the AI future, not the hype version and not the doom version. The machines are getting better. The real question is whether our map of human value gets better with them.